All right, so let me just level you up there. All right. So, I blame Matt for this because Matt outed Hector as the White Tiger. His first instinct to have his identity suppressed turned out to be the right one. Now, now I get that the confidential informant that was being roughed up by the police, I get that because he was retracted, because he was scared to actually testify, which makes me wonder why he got as far as he did anyway. But, so I get that was Matt's reasoning. Now, I wonder how much that one cop, who I honestly thought that Cherry was in trouble when, I think I'm uneven. Nope, that didn't help. So, I wonder how much, I was wondering, is Cherry going to end up dead? Because it seemed like Nicky Torres was getting into his vehicle and that he was going to take them to the courthouse. It turns out that he was just a diversion. So, but I was still worried that he was going to get killed. Of course, that would make, obviously, Matt and everybody else would have found out super quick, and it just wouldn't have helped the Hector Ayala case on the police officer's side at all. So I guess it makes sense that Cherry got out of this alive. But because of that, I'm too high. Sorry about that. Because of that witness being pushed aside, Matt decided that the only way he's going to convince the jury that Hector Ayala is a good guy is by outing him as White Tiger, which, pissed off the district attorney and the judge, because it's like, dude, you wanted us to suppress this, and now you're like, oh, by the way. And actually, I have to agree with the judge and the DA. Because the DA actually said in his closing argument, a good person can do bad things, and a bad person can occasionally do good things. So the fact that Hector Ayala is White Tiger shouldn't have anything to do with the fact that he did a good thing in this moment. Because, yes, people love White Tiger, so they acquitted him. But, number one, he didn't ask Hector, even though both Cherry and Kristen were like, oh God, he's gonna do it. And even Hector looked panicked, like he knew exactly what was coming. And so why not just point out that, okay, he said that, he wanted to help because it's the right thing to do. Okay, he doesn't have to be White Tiger to have come to that conclusion. Now, this whole episode is to show Matt's crisis, because his existential crisis, because he's going to slip back into Daredevil. I'm surprised that the cop in question, he's got a black eye, he's got scratches on his face and all that, and he knows that it was Matt. He's like, okay, you're a blind lawyer who can fight. Now, what I would like to know is, when is he going to put two and two together? It's like, okay, Hector's a vigilante. Matt is hyping up the fact that he's a vigilante, that he's a great guy. Maybe there's something about Matt. But to be honest, I don't think he's smart enough to come to that conclusion and figure out he's Daredevil. So he gets off the hook. But because of Matt's earlier concern about him being a target, well, yeah. Only because of the voiceover where Fisk is talking to BB, who I am just seriously waiting for her to, and I was wrong. I said that Ben Ulrich was her uncle. But still, she is a reporter. Now, granted, at the moment she's just doing just people on the street viewpoints on the news that's happening in New York. You know, the day-to-day lives, or how do you feel about this person? What do you think about this trial? Blah, 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 blah. So she's not a reporter in the traditional sense of, there is this story, let's get to the bottom of it. She's not that kind of a reporter. But I'm wondering at what point she's going to realize that Fisk not just had her uncle killed, that he did it himself. It's going to happen. Now, whether Matt tells her or she finds out on her own, but this season is going to either end, or very quickly she's going to discover that Fisk is not the guy she thought he was. Like I said, I don't know if she's going to learn about it from Matt, from the commissioner. Someone is going to tell her that Wilson Fisk is the kingpin of crime. Let's see. So he ends up getting shot in the head. Hector ends up getting shot in the head after he goes out as White Tiger. Now, I read up on his mystic medallion. Now, not only does it give him strength, but it also has healing properties. Now, he was shot in the head. So, I mean, this is comic book, so it's possible that he's going to be resurrected, or maybe somebody else will take up the mantle of White Tiger, whatever it is. I'm not completely sure he's dead. I mean, just like I'm not completely sure Foggy is dead. Because if it's true, if they're using the Mystic Medallion as they do in the comics, and that it has healing properties, could it heal someone who was shot in the head? Could it heal someone who was shot in the heart? So, because again, comic book, so yes, in real life, no, but this isn't real life, so, but regardless, this would not have happened if Matt just leaned on the Good Samaritan, because for the love of God, this man is supposed to be super religious. Surely he's read the story of the Good Samaritan. I'm an atheist. I know the freaking story of the Good Samaritan. So, no, he could have just, hammered home that this was a Good Samaritan who saw their informant being roughed up for whatever reason, and he stepped in. And that at no point did they tell him that they were cops. Because, ironically, people seem to the DA was like, oh yeah, this guy, he could be the greatest guy ever, but yeah, they can do bad things. You know who else can do bad things? Police. So why not lean on that? Yeah, bad people do good things and good people do bad things. There are bad cops. There are dirty cops. Why are we ignoring this? Why are we assuming that cops can be only good, especially Matt, who is familiar with Fisk and knows that a lot of them are on the take? So, yeah, I knew that as soon as he outed Hector as White Tiger, he was a dead man. I'm glad that Cherry survived, but that sucked. I mean, you heard that he, finally made enough money on a down payment of an apartment and, how things were looking up, and he ends up dead by what it seems like the Punisher. But I think we all know it wasn't Frank. Because Frank might be brutal. Well, not might be. He is brutal. But he can go a little off the wall at times. Like we've seen the trailers of him attacking Matt. But he isn't going to kill someone like White Tiger for no reason. He isn't going to just say, oh, the court, this guy says he killed a cop, even though he was found not guilty. And Fisk is like, oh, I believe in the law. I believe in the law. The law says that you get a trial in front of the jury of your peers. He followed the law. He got his trial. It just happened to be a verdict you didn't like because you were trying to wage a war against vigilantes. So not only do I not think it's Frank, I think it's a cop pretending to be Frank, which I'm sure is gonna seriously piss off Frank, which means we're probably seeing him next episode. So Frank is going to go after the cops pretending to be him. And I'm pretty sure Fisk had something to do with this, because they wouldn't have done that voiceover of him talking to BB about, how horrible vigilantes are and how he believes in the law and justice and blah, blah, blah. He's the freaking kingpin of crime. No, he doesn't believe in any of that. He might think he does, but that doesn't mean he actually does. So it implies that he had something to do with the killing. Now, I guess they decide to shoot him in the head because they figured that maybe they know that the Mystic Medallion has healing properties, and they figure, well, they can't heal him from a shot in the head, but a bullet to the brain. So maybe he is dead. I know that usually these shows are no body, no dead, but I'm questioning, especially since we know that in the case of Foggy, the actor who plays Foggy is supposed to return next season. So if Hector got to him and was able to heal him with his medallion, then chances are that he can heal himself. Or, there were a few different versions of White Tiger, so it's possible that he's permadead and it's going to just be that somebody else takes up the mantle. So that's a possibility too. But yeah, this was basically, this episode was basically Matt trying to come to terms with Daredevil. And should he become Daredevil again? Should he not? It started with the end of last episode where he beat the snot out of those two cops. And one of them acknowledged that, okay, so you're a blind lawyer who can fight. And I'm just waiting for him to put two and two together. But like I said, it doesn't sound like he's particularly smart. So, so, um, so yeah, this whole episode was Matt coming to terms with the fact that yes, indeed, he is Daredevil. That, Hector even told him, this is who I am. This isn't just me putting on a costume. This is who I am. And which really hit home with Matt because he's realizing that he can only deny Daredevil so much. So, and ironically, yeah, my hair is bugging me. Ironically, um Fisk, he said that, basically if you don't put the mask back on, I will not become the Kingpin again. Probably the best thing Matt can do for New York City is to basically out Wilson Fisk as the Kingpin of crime. Because it wasn't that long ago he was the Kingpin. And there are so many people who are acting like they have no clue. Which is such a commentary on what's happening in real life. Because there are so many freaking people who voted for Trump who seem to think that, his first term was some sort of aberration and that the things he promised and the things he claimed to stand for somehow people collectively forgot. So definitely, and this was written before Trump regained office, so it's not like maybe they did have Trump in mind because his first term happened. But there's a lot to be said for the parallels of a bunch of people who are voting for someone who's absolutely horrible. And it wasn't that long ago he was in jail for being the Kingpin. Now, the way he phrases it to BB, it's like, oh yes, I know all about the court systems and, you can't trust the jury, implying that they convicted him wrongly, when we all know that, no, he was convicted quite rightly. So yeah, this is going to be his next episode is probably going to be the episode where Matt goes to visit Frank. Now, why Frank attacks him, I do not know. Because unless, there's going to be some parts of the Netflix series that aren't going to be canon to the MCU. But I would think that Frank knowing that Matt is Daredevil should be one of them. Or maybe Frank is pissed off that he outed Hector as White Tiger and now he's dead. And not only that, but it's being blamed on Frank, on the Punisher. So, or it's just simply the fact that he's upset that Matt stopped being Daredevil. I mean, who knows? Who knows what set Frank off and why Frank was trying to beat Matt senseless. Or maybe this is some sort of tough love therapy that he's trying to get, because he doesn't know that Matt beat the snot out of a couple of cops already. But that maybe he thinks that Matt has to remember what it's like to be Daredevil, so I'm going to attack him. To get him to fight me so he can remember what it's like, or something. So yeah, I'm thinking next episode we're going to find out. We're going to see Frank, and this is going to be their calling card to go after the bad cops. Those that claim to, I don't know if this is some sort of weird cult, Punisher cult, that they think that they're actually emulating a hero, or if this is something that they thought up after they were on the take for Fisk, and since Fisk is anti-vigilante, that they're going to basically give vigilantes a bad name. I'm not entirely sure. But either way, like I said, based on the voiceover, it sounds like Fisk is trying to give vigilantes a bad name. I mean, he did that in, I think, season 3 with Bullseye pretending to be Daredevil. So, yeah, he's trying to soil the name of vigilantes. And bonus if any of them end up dead. Let's see if there's anything else I want to mention about this episode. Foggy was mentioned again, though, because Matt, in celebrating the win, brought out this bottle of booze, I think it's bourbon, that he and Foggy bought so they would toast to their victories. So it's another mention of Foggy. So they want you to remember that Foggy exists for a reason. So that lends some credibility to the fact that he's alive, or that he's being held in a situation where he will be brought back to life. I don't think the MCU has anything like the DC universe has with the oh my god, I can't remember what it's called, with Raja Ghul Dipson. But I don't think that Marvel has anything like that. But like I said, there's that amulet that's supposed to have healing properties. We know the hand is mystical, so they might be slowly reintroducing the hand. But we find out that the Fisk that sent Luca, to pay off one of the gang members, so the potential gang war gets put aside, was Vanessa. When it was said Fisk, you assume that that's Wilson, that's Kingpin. But no, it's Vanessa. Because, well, Fisk at this point is really trying to stay away from dealing with the underworld, dealing with gang members. It's like I said, next episode we will probably see him dealing with Frank. It's only a matter of time that he puts on the suit. It's around the halfway point next episode, so that could be. But we also have seen trailers where he's in a bank and he foils the bank robbery. So unless that also happens next episode, it's entirely possible that by the end of next episode, he will have put the suit back on. I think that's all I have for this video and this episode. So with that, I will see you guys in the next video.